Hi everyone, I just wanted to take a few minutes and go over the role of the interviewer, specifically in a job interview setting, and just give you some tips and some things to consider as you prepare for the role of the interviewer. So one of the first things that we look at is, why is effective interviewing important? And I think we all know that when you interview effectively, obviously you select the right person for the job. That's the goal anyway. But also, too, you have to give some thought to the fact that you enhance your company's credibility for the candidates who were not hired. More than likely, there will be people who don't make the cut in the job, and so you want to maintain good relations with them. When I was at Axiom, we would keep a file of all the good applicants that we had. And if we didn't choose someone, it's very possible that a few months later another position would come open, and we would go to our file and see who we'd interviewed previously and call that person up and see if they were still interested in a job. So you're building a relationship. We've talked about that, the interpersonal nature of interviewing. You are building a relationship with potential employees, even if they're not hired at that particular time. So you want to make sure that you have an effective interviewing process so that you maintain some credibility with the applicants that you didn't hire. And also, good interviewing allows you to avoid legal or behavior issues. A good interview will allow you to pick someone who's going to come in, who's going to buy into the culture of your organization, not create a lot of behavioral issues, and also not feel as though they were discriminated against during the interview process. So speaking of that, one thing that you have to understand from the beginning of the process is that you have to comply with EEOC guidelines and laws. And actually, in the PDF that I put on Whiteboard that says the interviewer, it gives a whole list of EEOC laws very specifically related to age, gender, race, religion. All of those are protected during the interview process. And so your questions in an interview must be a BFOQ, a bona fide occupational qualification. So what you're asking about in the interview has to be legal. It has to be something that is specifically related to the job. That includes work experience, training, education, skills, physical attributes that allow them to do the job. It excludes anything related to gender, race, religion, marital status, a disability, military record, or an ethnic group. So you have to make sure that your questions are legitimate, that they're about the job and not about some attribute of the person that's listed here. So when you consider keeping a question legal, you can look at three things. Is it a genuine job requirement? If you are needing someone who can lift 50 pounds, then you can't say, do you have any disabilities that would keep you from lifting 50 pounds? You can say, this job requires that you lift 50 pounds. Will that be a problem? Or, I'm just letting you know this job requires that you have to be able to lift 50 pounds, and then they can decide for themselves if that would be an issue or not. Can you ask the question of everyone? Is it a question that can be asked across the board, regardless of who walks in your door? And what is your motive for asking it? We've talked before about how your question should have a goal and something that relates to the information that you're trying to gain. It can't just be out of curiosity. It can't just be some random question that doesn't even pertain to the job. They need to have an appropriate motive. So let's take a look at some unlawful and lawful questions. Unlawful. When did you graduate from? What does that tell you? It tells you a date, which may indicate an age. You can't ask about age. You can say, what degrees, trainings, etc. do you have? What are your daycare arrangements? None of your business. That's that person's responsibility to take care of that. You can give the hours that are required for the job. You can say that you need to have reliable transportation. You can cover all of those things, but you can't specifically ask, how will you get to work and what are your daycare arrangements? Do you have health problems? Again, tell the requirements of a job. Have you been arrested versus have you been convicted? There's a difference. Asking if someone's been convicted, a felony, have had a felony, that's legitimate, and you often see those on written job applications. Being arrested, they could have had a rough Friday night and spent a night in jail, but no charges came from it. That's none of your business. That does not necessarily preclude someone from having a job. Are you a U.S. citizen cannot be asked, but you can ask for documentation of their ability to legally work within the United States. So if you look at these questions, can you work on Christmas? You can say, this position requires holiday work. Will that be a problem? Or you can say, this position we rotate hours during the holidays. You know, just letting you know, this is how we do that. That person can opt out if they want to. Do you plan to have more children? Again, shouldn't even be asking about children to begin with. Where do you want to be 5 years from now? I don't like this question. I'll talk about that later. But it's a legit question, so you can definitely ask that. Does your husband or wife have a problem with you working long hours? Again, none of your business. How do you get along with people you dislike? Behavioral question, that's legitimate. And tell me what clubs and organizations you belong to. You put this kind of stuff on your resume typically, which is fine, but this is kind of a tricky question because sometimes it can lead to bias. Working at Axiom, many of the leaders liked U of A graduates, and so they would look for people who graduated from the U of A or who were of a particular fraternity or sorority. So clubs and organizations do show that you've been involved, that you've maybe held a leadership position, but it can lead to bias, so you have to be very careful about that. Okay, so now in your assignment that you're working on with your partner, you notice you have to ask traditional interview questions and behavioral interview questions. So traditional interview questions are things like, why are you interested in this organization? Work-related, looking at teams and teamwork. What education and training have you had? Career paths and goals, performance, talking about salary and benefits, the career field. I like to say the traditional interview questions are those that maybe speak directly to the resume and that, just kind of give some information, just some basic general background information about the candidate. And you want to ask these questions. You want to find out about, just very specific work-related things that they have done. If there's something on the resume that stands out to you, an achievement that they have, you ask about that. That's a traditional question. Behavioral interview questions are behavior-based, and the purpose of them is to show that past performance is a predictor of future behavior. So as an interviewer, you are asking people to tell a story, and you're asking for very specific situations in which that story took place. So the questions like, describe a situation in which you were able to use persuasion to successfully convince someone to see things your way. I was asked that question in an interview once, and that's a tough one to answer. But again, you're describing a situation. As an interviewer, you want to hear that full story. Describe a time when you were faced with a stressful situation that demonstrated your coping skills. Give me a specific example of a time when you used good judgment and logic in solving a problem. Now, what's interesting about these questions, too, is that it gives the candidate some insight into the culture of the organization. Asking about persuasion may let that person know that's going to be part of this job. Stressful, might be some stressful times. Using good judgment and logic may indicate that, you have some autonomy in the job. So as an interviewer, as you prepare your behavioral interview questions, you can give great insight into the organization, and you want to make sure that these questions are related to the job. Don't just ask them to get them to tell you a story. These questions need to reflect specifics of the job. Okay, so interviewing bias. I think we all know what stereotyping is. Sometimes the first impression error, we make a snap judgment based on, something that we see immediately with that person. And we got to be careful of that. The purpose of the interview is to uncover additional information. The halo or horn effect, when one strong point overshadows all other information, or when it works against the candidate, it's a horn effect. So the leader I worked for at Axiom, U of A graduates, that's a halo effect. If you came from University of Alabama, that's a horn effect, and that's just how he was. And that was very difficult to work with, but that was his bias. That was his impression. Also, nonverbal bias. We recently interviewed someone here for a professor position, and he had some interesting nonverbal behaviors, and they were a little hard to get around at first. And honestly, when I first met him, I thought, no, he's probably not going to be a good fit. Just some of his gesturing was different. But the more I talked to him, the more I didn't even see that anymore. And so I think that that's something we have to be aware of. We can't get caught up in some of those nonverbal cues and let that overshadow the message. Cultural noise. Sometimes we can obviously see things that are culturally different, when people we're interviewing. We can't allow that to get in the way of our processing of information. And also a bias that can be created is an inconsistency of questioning. If you're interviewing, like for example, in our department, we just interviewed 4 candidates. We asked all 4 of them the same questions. And the conversations were different, but the questions were the same. And that helps to reduce bias. And if you're thinking you want to ask someone a question that's off the grid, you have to be very careful of that, because that can create different information that you're gathering from your other candidates, and so that can create bias. Okay, so another aspect of being the interviewer is reviewing the cover letter, and some things you want to consider. Is it addressed to a specific person? Is it modeled to your position and organization? A good cover letter will highlight the organization they're applying for, as well as the position. Does it review their career goals and qualifications? Briefly, not 5 pages, maybe a page. And is it free of spelling and grammatical errors? The resume, review it prior to the interview. Do not sit down with it for the first time and look at it when they're across from you. Delete or hide information that's unlawful. So if you do see something on the resume that you feel like shouldn't be there, you can black it out so that others maybe on your committee aren't influenced by that. Making sure that their goal or objective meets your profile. Do they use language in their resume that meets the profile? Keywords, things of that nature. What are the red flags? Employment gaps, if it looks like it's just a cookie cutter resume, typos, formatting issues, those things matter. Now, gaps in employment are normal. They may happen, and you may have to question about that when you interview the person. Don't let a gap in employment stop you from interviewing someone, but it is something you definitely want to ask about. Okay, so when you get to the interview and you start to open the interview, we've talked about this before, you want to build rapport. Do an introduction. Who are you? How long have you worked in this position? What position are you in? Give some background information on yourself. That helps to reduce uncertainty. Review the position. State the position the applicant's interviewing for. Tell how this position fits into the organization. Don't just jump right in with questions, but say, I understand that you're here to interview as a training manager. Well, let me tell you where this fits in our organization. Give them some background information. That's okay. And then preview the types of questions and possible length of the interview. You can say, I'll be asking a mix of traditional and behavioral interview questions. We're going to take about 30 minutes to talk, and then you'll go next door to meet with my colleague or, whatever. So the introduction is there to reduce uncertainty. So when you do your mock interviews with your partner, this is the type of thing that you need to include in your interview. Give some background on yourself, and you can make that up for the mock interview. Talk about the position a little bit, and then preview what the interview will look like. During the interview, make sure that your questions are appropriate for the position. Do they have a purpose? Why are you asking them? Do they indicate something about the culture of the organization? Do they avoid those question pitfalls? Are they legal? Are you using probing questions? And make sure that you're responding to the question that you just received a comment for. Don't just say, okay, next question, and move on. Have some dialogue, have some conversation. And then closing the interview, you want to signal the end with a clearinghouse question, review what you talked about, and let the interviewee know what the next steps will be. And be honest, don't give false hope. Oh, we can't wait for you to join us, when you're not even sure that they're even got the job. Okay, so these are just some tips. A lot of this is in the PDF that I put on our Blackboard page, so feel free to take a look at that. And if you have any questions as you're working on your agendas, please let me know. Be happy to answer them for you. And that's it. Thank you.